Well, thank you, David. And on behalf of the general officers, let me say that we extend our full support to you in your new role as board chair. I, for one, am glad that you're continuing to showcase the many ways that the university is advancing Missouri, but this year, from the perspective of Missouri citizens who benefit from the opportunities and the services the University of Missouri provides. This is our first regular board meeting of the calendar year, and at this meeting it's customary for the president to report on the state of the university. I'm pleased to report that the state of the university is remarkably good. It remains so in 2011 because our purpose, what we do at the university, is important. And we have capable people who believe in that purpose and carry it out with extraordinary efficiency. On January 7 of last year, the board paid me the utmost compliment by naming me interim president of the university of 4 generations of the Owens family and 3 generations of the Arno family, my wife's family. I gave a speech that day, and the theme of the speech was continuity of purpose under team leadership. I wanted people to know that the noble purposes of the university that have been handed down from generation to generation would continue, and that they would be led not just by a president, but a team of talented leaders throughout the system and the campuses. Along the way last year, I used examples from history to illustrate the importance of what we had inherited and that the university has been successful in dealing with challenges before, especially challenges involving leadership changes and difficult economies. On January 7 of last year, I thought it was important to specifically mention some of the things we would continue during the year. At the top of that list was that we would continue to be good stewards. And I purposely used the word continue because we have been good stewards for quite some time. For example, for the period covering fiscal year 2008 to fiscal year 2010, the university's administrative expenses as a percent of the operating budget were 21% less than the national average for our peer institutions. And while administrative expenditures were nationally reduced by 4% over this period, at the University of Missouri, that reduction was more than double at 9%. Another way to look at the university's stewardship is to understand how we compare when it comes to resources spent on students and our education mission. In 2009, the last year for which we have such data, as a percent of education and related expenses, we devoted 9% more than the national average on instruction. So we spent less on administration and more on instruction than the average of our peers. Last year alone, we achieved savings from reducing, eliminating, and deferring costs totaling $75 million, and we saved $220 million over the last 3 years. Last year, we achieved $53 million in revenue enhancements that came from enrolling more students, more out-of-state students, as well as entrepreneurial activities, assessment of a 1% administrative fee on gifts and endowments, and increases in indirect cost recoveries on sponsored research. These actions allowed us to finish the fiscal year 2011 under budget on expenses and over budget on revenues. We came into fiscal year 2012, which began on July 1, facing an 8.1% cut in state appropriations and a $57 million funding gap. But together, with shared sacrifices and shared efficiencies, we were able to build a balanced budget, and we are currently on budget in revenues and expenses. Our years of prudent fiscal management have resulted in a good credit rating, which enabled us to issue more than $250 million in bonds during 2011. The bonds were used to finance a chemical engineering building in Rolla and more student classrooms here in Kansas City. These are projects that historically have been funded and financed by the state. As good stewards, we continue to be accountable and transparent in our operations management. Yesterday, Senior Associate Vice President Steve Graham presented the second-year report on the President's accountability measures. These measures continue to provide our stakeholders transparency into our performance in 5 critical areas: teaching and learning, research and discovery, community service and engagement, economic development, and developing and managing our resources. And in all areas, we are either meeting our goals or making progress towards them. In addition, yesterday, Vice President Krawitz presented the annual Effectiveness and Efficiencies Report that details actions taken last year, as we have every year since 1998, to document efforts to reduce costs, increase efficiencies, and increase revenues where possible. And prudent fiscal management in fiscal year 2011 had a total positive financial impact of $131 million. Also last year, we received unqualified opinions on our consolidated financial statements and our A133 audits. Many, many people deserve credit for these continuing administrative and fiscal achievements. They are led at the campuses by the vice chancellors, the CFOs, and at the system by our Vice President for Finance and Administration, Nikki Krawitz. In 2011, we also continued our efforts to creatively expand our students' opportunities for learning and the university's capabilities for innovative instruction. As many of you saw yesterday, the Single Portal project is operational. The portal allows new and existing students to search online for their courses, programs, and any campus, at any UM campus, they may apply, register, and gain access to all their online courses and support services from one single location. Not only is the technological infrastructure in place, but so is our online curriculum. For years, our campuses have been building online programs, and our students are using them in record numbers. More than 12,000 university students are taking at least one full online course this year. That's an increase of 13% over the previous year. Additionally, a cross-campus e-learning initiative has resulted in the development of 130 new online courses that will be completed by the end of 2012. This includes 8 online degree programs, 7 online certificate programs, and 7 online course clusters, and involves 120 faculty members. Also during the year, the university led a statewide collaborative effort to secure a Gates Foundation grant with Missouri's other 4-year public universities to design 13 high enrollment courses. These courses will use innovative and technology-based learning tools to improve student outcomes and reduce instructional costs. Yet another example of how the university is leading efficiency and innovation, not just within the UM system, but throughout the state. And through a careful study and a thorough program audit, we eliminated or consolidated 29 low-degree producing programs. These efforts were led on each campus by the provosts and chief information officers, and at the system level by Dr. Steve Graham. It was particularly gratifying to me that throughout last year, we continued to honor our most important asset, our people. We successfully and equitably revised our 50-year-old retirement program. And because of these efforts, the retirement benefits of our employees and retirees are more secure than before. And out of sensitivity to future employees, we designed a plan that is both attractive and fair to them. During the year, we also kept health care costs relatively low for our faculty and staff. And through the implementation of the efficiencies I previously mentioned and the reallocation of money derived from those efficiencies, we were able to provide our best performing employees with their first pay raise in 3 years. The successes of these human resource and benefits initiatives goes to many, many people, including our ad hoc and standing benefits committees, and especially our Vice President for Human Resources, Betsy Rodriguez. During 2011, we continued to act as reliable advocates for higher education in Jefferson City. We continued to educate our state's leaders on the importance of higher education and the uniqueness of the University of Missouri. We prevailed in our legislative positions on the state budget, the curator selection bill, the dental teaching bill, and a joint pharmacy program with Missouri State University that serves as yet another example of collaboration and shared efficiencies. The These efforts were carried out by a significantly streamlined government relations staff led by Vice President Steve Knorr. Last year, we continued to look for ways to be even more efficient in the delivery of our services and allocated resulting cost savings to core mission opportunities. We rolled out an order-to-pay project, which is a money management tool that automates the exchange of purchase orders, invoices, and payments by integrating suppliers through a secure network. This improvement is expected to net more than $9.4 million in savings and new revenue in the next 5 years. We also changed our travel policies and launched an automated travel and expense module. And we again reached out to our higher education colleagues throughout the state and led a statewide strategic procurement study. Gary Allen and his staff led these efforts along with several other IT projects that are too complicated for me to understand, much less describe. During the last year, we continued to provide jobs. As you've heard, jobs, jobs, jobs. And last year, we continued to provide jobs for approximately 28,000 Missourians and create economic opportunities for the people of this state. Our faculty continued to create and invent, following a record number of invention disclosures with our tech transfer offices. And our researchers continued to attract and conduct meaningful research, generating a record $398 million in total sponsored activities. We also opened the Missouri Plant Science Center in Mexico, a joint venture of the City of Mexico, the State of Missouri, and the university. This center will enable our faculty researchers to work alongside business and industry experts, turning the latest research innovations into functional, real-world applications and consumer goods. This year, we also attracted an 80,000 square foot development to Discovery Ridge and structured the transaction so that there is no cost to the university. Our research and economic development successes are unique within the state of Missouri. They are the result of many top-notch researchers, their chief research officers, our partners in the private sector, and Vice President Mike Nichols. 2011 was a period of transition, and it was more important than ever to effectively and strategically communicate. At the system, we upgraded the system's website, significantly added content, and we dramatically increased internal and external communications. The Advancing Missouri campaign, created by Associate Vice President Cindy Pollard, gave us an opportunity to effectively tell our story, so much so that it debuted nationally and is being adopted by the Association of Public and Land-Grant Universities. Now, not all of our achievements were as impressive as the ones I've just mentioned, and what many will see as the least remarkable achievement, the legal office performed quite well without me. Under the leadership of Phil Hoskins, the office continued to provide sound legal advice, negotiated several complex transactions, and most importantly, kept the interim president out of legal trouble. Phil, a special thanks to you for your outstanding leadership and service and your willingness to serve on, well, as much notice as I got, so thank you very much. During 2011, the board organized a record number of Board of Curators meetings, oriented 4 new curators, and supported a year-long presidential search. Board Secretary Cindy Harmon ably supported us during what may have been the busiest year in board history. And throughout all of this, the general officers and I were supported by Kathy Miller, Chief of Staff. No one has been more committed to the welfare of the university than Kathy. And Kathy, for your years of dedicated support and service to the university, as Secretary of the Board and as Chief of Staff, we give you a special thank you. Our campus has had productive years as well, and let me just briefly describe a few of the highlights from each. For 10 consecutive years, MU has welcomed record-breaking enrollment with large increases in ethnically diverse, high-ability, out-of-state, and low-income students. This year's freshman enrollment is the highest in MU's history, a nearly 10% increase over last year. Mizzou students Mizzou's students were honored with awards such as the Mark Twain Prize for Comic Playwriting, the Jack Kent Cook Graduate Arts Award, and the 2011 Truman Scholarship for Outstanding Leadership and Community Service. Mizzou is proud to have 86 National Merit Scholars on campus this year. And among the faculty, Dr. James Birchler was elected to the National Academy of Sciences, and Dr. Michael Lefevre to the Institute of Medicine, joining the world's most prestigious scientists, physicists, and researchers. I'm proud to report that MU is named a veteran-friendly school by GI Jobs and Military Times. MU was the first of 3 institutions in the country to open a full-service center for veterans and their dependents. And as you know, it was an extraordinarily busy time in athletics. During the past academic year, 13 of Missouri's sports achieved a team GPA average of over 3.0, and 342 individual student athletes achieved a 3.0 GPA or higher. The women's softball team won the Big 12 regular championship. Mizzou hired Coach Frank Haith to lead the Tigers in basketball and a victory tomorrow night. And of course, MU announced a move from the Big 12 Conference to the Southeastern Conference. Here in Kansas City, UMKC was ranked #1 in the world for innovation management research, with 3 Block School professors named among the top 50 innovation management scholars. The Block School received the largest outright gift in UMKC's history, and among the largest received at any university in 2011. Henry W. Block provided the $32 million gift to fund a state-of-the-art building to house the Henry W. Block School of Management, Graduate and Executive Programs, escalating this program to world prominence. In the arts, Conservatory Professor Cho Long received a Pulitzer Prize last spring for his opera, Madam Whitesnake. Additionally, 2 College of Arts and Sciences professors received prestigious Guggenheim Fellowships. UMKC had its 3rd best fundraising year, with a record number of nearly 20,000 donors contributing to the Campaign for UMKC. This campaign will fund advanced academic and research programs and state-of-the-art facilities, resulting in greater opportunities for student and faculty success. In Rolla, Missouri S&T has seen more than a 50% enrollment growth since 2000, with 7,520 students attending this fall. The average ACT score of S&T's incoming freshmen in 2011 was 27.8, putting the school in the upper 10% in the nation. Missouri S&T boasts 56 National Merit Scholars. Missouri S&T continued to get national attention with its Experimental Explosives Lab. For the 2nd year in a row, it was ranked the #1 awesome college lab by Popular Science. And S&T grads have the 2nd highest starting salaries in the Midwest and 2nd highest in the nation among public universities. I'm pleased to report that our Rolla campus also ended fiscal year 2011 ahead of its fundraising goal, no small feat in this economy, raising a total of $16.6 million. And thanks to the support of this board, financing was approved for a new 63,000 square foot chemical and biological engineering building on the S&T campus. It will be paid for in part with more than $6 million in private donations. And during the year, the campus saw the retirement of a beloved Chancellor, Jack Carney, the steadfast leadership of Interim Chancellor Kent Ray, and the naming of a new Chancellor, Cheryl Schrader. And Kent, due to your valuable leadership this year, this slide is for you. I appreciate the introduction to Brad Pitt. At UMSL, academic programs continue to get their praise. Our university in St. Louis ranks 9th nationally and 1st in the Midwest among all universities with 15 or fewer doctoral programs in the Academic Analytics Faculty Productivity Index. This allows UMSL to recruit students and faculty members looking for top-ranked academic programs. Among those ranking ahead of UMSL in this category are Boston College, Georgetown University, and Rutgers. UMSL, like our other campuses, is seeing record growth, particularly in the diversity of its student body and in the number of students enrolled in graduate programs. Nearly 1/3 of UMSL's 16,800 students are minorities, and nearly a quarter are enrolled in a graduate program. Finally, UMSL continues to make great strides in its Gateway to Success campaign. More than $135 million has been raised, putting the campaign well on the road to meet the fundraising goal of $150 million by this June. So let me give a collective thank you to Chancellors Deaton, George, Morton, and Ray for your leadership, your dedication, and your support. Each of you is to be commended for overseeing and ensuring a very successful year. I would also like to note that the University of Missouri Healthcare achieved high marks for full compliance in 2011. In March, surveyors from the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services and the Department of Health indicated that all MU healthcare facilities are in compliance. This was a considerable effort led by many people, including MU Vice Chancellor Hal Williamson and MU Healthcare CEO Jim Ross. And in December, MU Healthcare received the Missouri Quality Award, a recognition for excellence in quality leadership. Modeled after the prestigious Baldrige Performance Excellence Program, this award is recognized as one of the strongest state-level quality award programs in the country. 2011 was a remarkably eventful and productive year. We achieved what we sought out to do, continuity of purpose under team leadership. And through superb stewardship, we continued doing more with less. But it's fair to ask, how long can this continue? How long can we do more with less? Even an institution with a noble purpose and dedicated people cannot flourish for long without adequate resources. You all are aware of our comparatively low administrative costs at the university and our almost Herculean efforts to be good stewards. And while we can always improve somewhat in our efficiencies, it is my opinion that our greatest opportunity for incremental resources is on the revenue side. But that will take creativity and a willingness to change. You may recall that in my remarks at the board meeting in March, I reported on a survey of 956 college presidents and how they were dealing with the new normal, that of greater expectations but fewer resources. From the survey results, we were pleased to see that we had considered and implemented more cost savings measures than most of our peers. What was telling about the survey, however, was what was missing. As one commentator noted, the issues of how we're going to really reinvent ourselves for what looks like a long haul of self-sufficiency just didn't get reflected in the survey responses. Most of the strategies going forward were largely negative, about cutting. There aren't growth ideas, change ideas, ideas beyond our boundaries. The state of the university is such that we need bold, new ideas beyond our boundaries. In December, we discussed change in a university environment. And according to Thomas Mecca, the change process in a college or university is a series of transitions between three different states: unfreezing, transition, refreezing. No change will occur unless a system is unfrozen, and no change will last unless the system is refrozen. The state of the university is such that we need to unfreeze the funding paradigm in higher education, while keeping the state as a valued partner, especially when it comes to bonding capital projects. We must unfreeze the degree of our reliance on state funding and lead the effort to pursue alternative opportunities for revenue, whether it's a dedicated tax, technology transfers, more public-private partnerships, the creation and sale of startup companies, a review of tuition policy, or private development. And we must bridge the disconnect between citizen appreciation for higher education and current state policy. You will recall the results of a survey of Missourians' attitudes on higher education, which we discussed last January. And that survey revealed the following three things. First, on issues most important to those surveyed, support for higher education ranked third, behind only jobs and health care, and ahead of lower taxes, public safety, environment, and transportation. Second, nearly 3 out of 4 Missourians favored greater state investment in higher education. More than 51% of them, a majority, said that they would pay higher taxes to better support higher education. An additional 22% of them said that they would shift funding to higher education from other state operations. The third thing that came out of the survey was that it revealed that more than 85% of those surveyed believed our university is one of the state's greatest assets, that we provide a high-quality education, and that we are an economic driver to the state. The state of the university is such that we must effectively communicate our value and citizen preferences to policymakers. I am so pleased that the board has selected a new president with the demonstrated ingenuity and communication skills to tell our story. I'm also pleased that our new president, Tim Wolf, has a terrific work ethic. He has been in Columbia or on one of our campuses every day since the first of the year, and he isn't even on the payroll yet. Now that's stewardship. The state of the university is remarkably good due to its noble purpose and its dedicated people. Going forward, we must do what is necessary to acquire the resources to make us even better. In closing, I want to thank the board for giving me the opportunity to serve you as president, and I would like to thank everyone in the university family for your support. I ask that you be as patient, understanding, and productive for President Wolf as you have been for me. Thank you very much.